Before you diagnose yourself with depression or low self-esteem, first make sure that you are not, in fact, just surrounded by assholes. Avoid women who talk a lot about sex because often they have gotten a psychological breakdown from the lack of it. Just as no one can be forced into belief, so no one can be forced into unbelief. The only shame in masturbation is the shame of not doing it well. Civilized society is perpetually menaced with disintegration through this primary hostility of men towards one another. Who lacks sex speaks about sex, hungry talks about food. A person who has no money, about money, and our oligarchs and bankers talk about morality. Perfect, eternal, atrophied love exists only between the addict and the drug. All adaptation is partial death, the disappearance of a particle of individuality. We enter the world with loneliness and lonely leave it. When people marry, they no longer live for each other as they did before. They live with each other for someone. Third and dangerous rivals soon appear for the husband, a household, and the nursery. A man should not strive to eliminate his complexes, but to get into accord with them. They are. You do not stop looking for strength and confidence outside, but you should look inside yourself. They have always been there. The first human who hurled an insult instead of a stone was the founder of civilization. A joke makes it possible to satisfy a lustful or hostile instinct despite an. Masturbation is one of the primary abodes, the primary addiction. Subsequent addictions, alcohol, tobacco, morphine, are only its substitutes. The secret of the human soul lies in the psychic dramas of childhood. Get to the bottom of these dramas and healing will come. We are so made that we can only derive intense enjoyment from a contrast and only very little from a state of things. We do not randomly choose each other. We meet only those who already exist in our subconscious. We seek more to take suffering away from ourselves than to gain pleasure. The scope of one's personality is defined by the magnitude of that problem which is capable of driving a person out of his wits. In the small matters trust the mind, in the large ones trust the heart. Only the complete absence of sex can be considered a sexual deviation. Everything else is a matter of taste. The voice of the intellect is quiet, but it never tires of repeating, and listeners are found. A man is sometimes more generous when he has little money than when he has much, perhaps two. Keep from thinking he has none at all. We are never so defenseless as when we love, and never so helplessly unhappy as when. A woman will never want sex with a man who doesn't get her hints. People in general are insincere in sexual matters. They do not openly display their sexuality, but rather hide it by putting on a tight coat sewn from a matter called lie, as if it were bad weather in the world of sexual relations. The only person with whom you have to compare ourselves is that you in the past, and the only person better you should be. This is who you are now. A father's death is the most important event, the more heartbreaking and poignant loss in a man's life. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways.